Let's talk to a leading figure of the New Patriotic Party on a number of important developments that have happened in the past few days. Okay, so the special prosecutor has held a press conference, at which press conference he declared Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta wanted, and he said he was going to place Mr. Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister, on the Interpol red list. This follows Mr. Ofori-Atta's failure to turn up in town. According to the special prosecutor, the agreement with Mr. Ofori-Atta was that he would come to Ghana by end of May, and that if by 2nd June he had not returned, he would be declared wanted. There have been other matters. For example, the MPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Wuntumi has been released after 7 days in detention. That's also set some different discussions going around, and of course there are other issues. So let me just pick the thoughts of Mr. Agyapong briefly on these matters as we progress with the show. Mr. Kwabena Agyapong, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Bernard.
Great. So let me start with the special prosecutor. Yesterday he held a press conference. I'm sure you heard him say that the Minister of Finance, former Minister of Finance, is wanted, and he gave his list of reasons. I haven't heard you speak on this particular matter in a while. So just your quick thoughts. What are your thoughts on the latest installment of this saga?
Well, I'm a bit disturbed by the direction that we are traveling as a country in our fight, whether it's against corruption or even how governance should be appreciated and should be carried out as a country. I'm a patriot of our beloved motherland, Ghana, and anybody who has misconducted themselves, whether it's in government, during their time in government or in private life, I think the person should face the full consequences of their own actions, but in a lawful way. And there has been a trend that has been building up, which is unfortunate in my view. Very high-handed, Rambo-style invasions of people's privacy, people's homes, being systematically carried out in the name of ongoing investigation. It's something that we have to speak up against. It is not correct. It does not mean that anybody should be a stumbling block in the way of the delivery of justice. That is not to say so. But I think as a people, over 30 years of democracy, we should learn from our mistakes of the past and not constantly repeat them, because what is happening is becoming a dangerous cycle of retribution and vengeance, and it's difficult for people to distinguish between what is the proper course of investigation or political execution. It gets muddied. I mean, the government has control of all the state intelligence agencies, so if you are building a case against someone, it should be easy, with all these plethora of institutions and agencies are available to the president and the government and the attorney general to take the right decisions. So if really this special prosecutor, I mean, frankly, personally, I think that that office should never have been set up in the first place, because it's a complete waste of the country's resources. But anyway, that haven't happened. And he wants to prosecute someone. You are the prosecutor. If you are a prosecutor, you build your case. When you build your case and you believe in that case, the gravity of the offenses that have been committed, you start proceeding to court. You are not a judge yourself to be able to declare someone a fugitive just because you cannot have access to the person. Because in any case, our own laws allows us to be silent even when he's in front of you. So at the end of the day, if you are building a case, I don't think there's a compelling reason why any suspect should be in front of you, if you have a case. Yes, the police, they can invite you, and I've heard lawyers talk about the fact that you are assisting in investigations. But why should somebody provide a platform for you to build on in a possible legal battle that is likely to happen? So I find this whole thing is like a trial in the media. I'm trying to create the impression that people are criminals before they are sent to court. And that cannot be right. It's happening to someone today. It can happen to any of us. I believe in advocating for propriety, things being done right. First and foremost, we haven't heard the special prosecutor outline any charges that he has preferred against the former finance minister. We don't know yet. I mean, we've heard rumors of many things, and he hasn't filed charges.
He describes him as a person of interest that he needs to assist in investigations.
But can you force someone to assist you? I mean, I can't believe it. Does he understand the word assist? And especially if during my assistance, my evidence or my answers can be used against me. The law allows you to plead silence. So, and of course, there have been cases where people have been tried in absentia. He himself, the special prosecutor, when he felt his life was being threatened, decided to operate from outside the country. So he knows he's got the capacity and the capability to be able to reach out to Ken Ofori-Atta wherever he is. I'm not here holding brief for Ken. No, that's not what I'm doing. I think that what is happening is dangerous for our country, because then it is possible for any one of us to be declared guilty and embarrassed publicly even before you take your stand in court to defend yourself. What happened to the basic law which says that you are innocent till proven guilty? The way he's going about it, he's treating him as if, he's a common thief. That has not been proven beyond reasonable doubt. We shouldn't encourage such behavior because I think it is not right. If first you prefer charges, you should go to a court of law and start the prosecutions if he believes in what he has gathered is strong enough. And then when the court subpoenas the suspect and he does not appear, then he can apply for the court to grant him a warrant to bring him to court. At that point, you can then say that he's a fugitive from justice. But all of us reserve the right to be represented by lawyers. So what is going on here? I think that is something that civil society, all well-meaning Ghanaians have to stop. Like I said earlier, I do not believe that anyone should protect any Ghanaian, whether private or public official who was tinkered with the public treasury. I don't want to do that. But let's do things right. We cannot carry on as if there's a...
So for you, the resort to press conferences and sort of calling him wanted is not within... That's not the approach you should use.
He should tell us whether that forms part of his mandate. You are a prosecutor. A prosecutor cannot pass judgment. So it is not within your power to say that somebody is a fugitive from justice. It is a judge who sits in a court that has accepted or, is listening to your pleadings that can take a decision that there has been no cooperation or there has been disrespect for subpoenas to appear in court. And these are laws. So I think that what is happening is unfortunate. It is wrong. I think that if he's built a strong enough case, he should proceed. Okay. And if Ken doesn't come, then the court can declare him wanted. And there are various ways. I've spoken to some lawyers. He can be interviewed these days because of digital presence. He can be on Zoom. There are various channels of communication to reach out to the person to stand trial. You understand? Especially if he's unwell. If he's deliberately refusing to present himself, that's a completely different matter. But whatever the case, you are a prosecutor.
All right. Fair enough.
You are a prosecutor. You are not a judge.
So, at the risk of comparing oranges with apples, I want to bring you into another matter. So, on the Wuntumi issue, so it's quite interesting. On the Ken issue, the special prosecutor has been speaking, and some people feel that he's putting the matter out too much. But on the Wuntumi matter, from his meeting with the CID to his arrest by Yoko and then his detention and release, the minority in parliament essentially picketed at the Yoko, asking for more information and asking for his release. If you listen to the MPs who went, they said, look, you can't hold a man and not tell us what he's done. So in terms of the approach of those security agencies, the CID originally questioning him, and then Ioko arrested him subsequently before the deputy AG then wrote on social media what Mr. Wuntumi was being investigated for. So that seems a different approach. My question to you is that the right approach? That's question one. And question two, the approach of MPP members going there to demand this release, blocking the road and saying they are not happy, is that also correct? Should that be how they go about their expressing their grievance?
Look, Bernard, let's all be fair and do things right. If the CID, in my view, did the right thing, they professionally invited him and he submitted himself. I don't know what transpired, and then they let him off on bail. What was the point in crossing him in traffic and picking up the way they did, the Ioko did? Ioko is supposed to be an intelligence gathering organization that's looking at economic crime. So basically, even Ioko's mandate has to do with economic crime. They haven't told us, apart from the Deputy Attorney General taking to his personal handle. That is not an official handle. That, again, is wrong. I think it is very wrong for state officials to be promoting their social media presence, their personal social media presence, using official issues. That is completely unethical and should go against the code of conduct that the president has put in place. If the Attorney General's office has a social media handle and officially the Attorney General's office puts out information, that one we can accept, as that's the current position of the Ministry of Justice. But not on your personal social media handle. That is incorrect, it's unethical, it is wrong. And so, if indeed, for right now, we don't even know. There are all sorts of rumors bandying about. I'm not going to repeat some of the reasons. It has to be official. Even when you go to court for a warrant for arrest, the judge will ask you the reason why the person is being arrested. And the judge will take a decision based on reasonableness, that he thinks that, yes, this person has to be brought in for questioning. So it is the same thing. It is so wrong what has happened, and it compels others to also do things that they choose to be their right.
Okay.
You understand?
When we spoke to his lawyer yesterday, just to give information, one of his lawyers, Ifuakwa, said he was cautioned for causing financial loss to the state. That was the official sort of basis for his interrogation by the Ioko. This is one of his lawyers telling us yesterday.
That even causes more confusion, because if you look at that law, it deals more with public officers. I don't know which particular crime they said that he was causing financial loss. Because if you are not a public officer, then it must have been some public officers in their dealings with you that has caused financial loss. When we had the Cotton case, which was causing financial loss to the state, it is the public officers who were involved who the state went after, not the woman Juliet Cotton, although she was the beneficiary of those funds. So, first and foremost, yes, Wuntumi may have been a beneficiary of some funds, but who released those funds to him? And on what conditions were those funds released to him? Let's be careful how we do things in this country. That is why people are beginning to think that it is either a way to show him where power lies, to keep him over the weekend, 7 days and all that, just to show him that when you are in government, you have power. We accept that. Governments have power. And governments have been put into office to exercise the authority of the state. And all of us submit to the state, and we respect the authority of the state. But the state should not misuse its power. If they have a solid piece of evidence in the case, and as they are speaking, I don't know whether I've heard something about cars and all. This is crazy. We should be clear what it is he has done.
Okay, that's fair.
If you are clear enough, you go to court. The first point of call is to go to court.
Fair enough. There's also a view that MPP leaders are falling over themselves in support of Wuntumi without necessarily averting their minds to all the facts. And of course, some have been accused of using the Wuntumi detention to sort of champion their own ambitions, because Dr. Bamia has been there, Duchum has been there, Kwabena, Ken Agyapong has been there, Brian Champon was in the middle of it. I think the only significant person in that group who was not there maybe was you. I don't know if you also went there. But the criticism is that MPP leaders are cashing. No, let me finish the question. Are sort of cashing in on the man's misfortune to promote their own agendas. There's even an article written to this effect.
Well, I think we should not create a charade in this country. I mean, whether it is the government or it is us, the opposition, we should be fighting for what is right. I believe in propriety, okay? And there are times that you can show solidarity. I've done it before in the past, but, you know, it wasn't out to solicit any public support for anything I intend doing. What is important is that the government is the one in power. They should exercise their authority properly, legitimately, in order not to elicit any reaction, you know, that comes from other quarters. I'm not going to comment on whether people went there to take advantage of the situation. That's not for me to comment. I think, Bernard, all of you, the media, let's insist on propriety. Let's insist on things being done right in this country. We are making far too many mistakes, and we keep repeating these mistakes. It's become an unending cycle of vengeance, of retribution, of paying people back. That is not how countries are developed. When somebody is wrong, let's tell them where they've gone wrong, and if you have to exact punitive measures, let that be so. But please, I mean, this playing to the gallery, it's embarrassing to the government, in my view. I think it's embarrassing to the president. And if he's sitting down looking at all this and not intervening and not taking action and not asking his officials why they are going about things in such a muddying situation, I mean, I think it's wrong. You know, the government is in power for what, 6 months? And we're having all these infractions on. No, this cannot be accepted.
All right.
He's been vice president before, president before, and come back again, has no excuse. You know, even if previous governments have made similar mistakes, by now he should have learned from those experiences so that we can build a better country as we are going forward. We can't keep repeating these same things, and people keep threatening that when people come back, this won't happen. That is not the country we need to build. We need to progress as a people.
Thank you very much, Kwabena Agyapong. Thank you for your insight and your time. Thank you so much.